Currently, it seems like there's a lot of hype around, well, artificial intelligence in general, but also this kind of race to reach what they call AGI, so artificial general intelligence, which refers to like a human-like type of intelligence, or like a comparable one. And so, in this video, my general question, I guess, is like, well, is that really a good idea? Even assuming there aren't massive downsides, the usual ones we can think of, like, is it really a good idea? What's the point of investing so much resource and time and and attention to this topic? The term AI is a bit of an ever shifting goalpost, and that we're constantly changing the definition or what it refers to. You know, if you think about it, a calculator could be thought of as artificial intelligence, and then every time we get more complicated algorithm, that becomes a new artificial intelligence. A computer being able to play chess, for example, it could be considered artificial intelligence. You've had, linear regression, neural networks, and now AI refers to as the most latest, trendiest version, so large language models. And so the term AGI is here to kind of differentiate it, and it's a new AI for to replace AI as a new idea of like the ultimate intelligence. And so I guess the benchmark for ultimate intelligence, so to speak, is that it's the most human-like. And so I guess LLMs are pretty human-like already when you talk with them. You know, they feel humanish pretty much. Although the latest iteration seems to be pretty good at understanding context and kind of what you mean. There are some things where they're not very good. I mean, there is the famous hallucination problem, but then I guess the limits then are the ability to do more complex actions that require a lot of steps when it's not just about generating text or images, and you actually want them to take actions or like a complicated sequence of actions. So I guess that would be one of the potential, pros that people see in developing AGI is that, we can have even more complicated AIs that can do even more work for us. But I guess, you can just hire an assistant and then they can do a lot of that work. Now, I guess you could say, okay, but the benefit is that the AGI can do it a lot quicker or more effectively. I mean, right now, if you want like rigorous work, you're still better off using a human if you don't want them to insert mistakes. Well, I guess a human could still insert mistakes, but I guess so. Yeah, if you want like better speed or maybe even more comprehensiveness, that's one of the uh, potential benefits of having this ever greater AI. I guess this ideal would be Jarvis from Iron Man, where it's just like this kind of robotish person you can ask to do stuff. But the thing is, there's a lot of trade-offs. Like, first off, we have to assume that AGI is even possible to do in the first place. But like, let's just assuming that's possible, then assuming it's not a massive existential risk, where a lot of people think that AI, or if we did manage to get to a certain level of intelligence for AI, it could get pretty dangerous and harm us, whether it's intentional as kind of a side effect of whatever else it's trying to do. But even assuming that's not a problem, then there is the fact that right now it's very resource intensive to create and train these AIs. Like it requires a lot of energy and a lot of water to cool down the servers. So there's that. You do get faster than humans, but it does have a cost. But another problem that strikes me, and that I don't see a lot of people talk about, part of the AGI fantasy or ideal seems to be to kind of recreate an artificial human mind and volition to an extent. So that's a form of artificial sentience. But the problem is, as soon as an entity gets sentient, well, then it comes with a set of moral rights and moral consideration. It becomes a moral agent. And like the whole point of robots is that you can get them to do a lot of work without any ethical problems, right? It's basically ethical slavery because the algorithm doesn't have any preferences. It doesn't really have, a viewpoint. It just does a set of instruction mindlessly, so to speak, or and so it's not a problem. You can get it to do a lot of stuff. And another benefit is that it's faster and it makes less mistakes, assuming you've programmed it correctly. But so if we did manage to actually create artificial sentience, and I guess that's another rabbit hole because it's like, when do we actually consider it to be sentient or not? some people think that large language models are already semi-sentient. Other people disagree. I mean, some people have made the argument that no matter how good an AI ever gets, will never grant them uh, the status of sentience, whether they deserve it or not. So I guess that's another rabbit hole. But if we did manage to reproduce fake humans that live in computer, I mean, like human mind and volition, they have preference and values, and they want to do stuff, then it just seems like we're creating a whole slew of problems for us. Like we're just creating more and more complicated geopolitical environment. We already struggle with dealing different nations and dealing with different ethnicities and skin colors and religions and all. Is it really worth it to create a whole new set of sentient entities who have like kind of a different setup where they live in machines and they can have a greater influence on technology, I guess? Like it just seems like it would make everything more complicated, and now you can't really use them to do a lot of labor if they do get sentience, because that's ethically complicated. So yeah, I don't know. I just like I don't really understand why everybody's so obsessed with this. It seems like it has a lot of downsides, and I guess the main thing I can think of is it's kind of an ego project, right? Because I guess that to an extent, in the way our culture works, right, what we value the most about being human is our consciousness and our ability, our ingenuity, and our capability to conceptualize and abstract things. And so, if we can kind of reproduce it artificially, we kind of play at being God. That's really cool, maybe. Or it feels cool that haha, we've cracked the code. I mean, to an extent, you could say maybe it could help us understand what makes up consciousness better, maybe, or how our intelligence works. Although how applicable artificial intelligence is to human intelligence is again not completely clear. But yeah, it seems like the main motivation is just to feel cool about ourselves, like aha, we've managed to do it. And I guess to just kind of answer the question of curiosity, like, is it even possible? Can we do this? But that's kind of, I mean, like, I can understand it, but that's a bit of a weak motivation, especially when you consider all the problems that come with it. And if the other motivation is just to maximize efficiency as much as possible all the time, well, if they actually start getting moral consideration, then you start reducing. I guess if they're more effective and you give them working hours, they might get more work done than a regular human. But it's starting to get really complicated. And then there is also the question of sustainability, but I guess our culture doesn't really care about sustainability too much. But like okay, they'll be on the short term very effective, but like if they require a massive amount of resources and energy and all of this stuff, is it really a good idea? They're not actually going to start costing more on the long term. So yeah, all that to say, I don't really get the whole this whole hype and obsession with AGI and reaching AGI. Even the people who are working on it seem to be of a split mind. On like the one hand, they're like, "Oh, this could be very risky. We need to put all these safety procedure and think about what we're doing." And at the same time, the whole goal is to go as fast as possible and keep doing the strongest, faster, better version you can think of. Okay, yeah, I'm confused by this whole thing. And I guess, there's the whole controversy around large language models as a whole. Aside from that, well, I guess I touched a little bit onto it, but that's another question. But even just on a theoretical level, I don't really understand the appeal of this project. And I feel like if we want to feel smart and we can want to show off all our human ingenuity, shouldn't we kind of focus things where like there's an actual real important need? Like if we use all these like very bright engineer who want to make a name for themselves and make important breakthrough, actually invest on maybe finding mitigation strategies for climate change or something like that, or like there's an actual like real important problem to fix. Well, I guess some people might say that, oh, if we had a super advanced artificial mind, they could solve some of these problems for us. But I mean, there's no guarantee, and there's a lot of downsides, and they don't really help with climate change right now. They actually kind of only exacerbate the problem. So it's really a good idea, even on a simply theoretical level, without considering that many actual practical downsides. Anyways, all that to say that I personally don't really understand this whole ambition in general. If you can think of good reasons why it's a good idea that I didn't think of, I'm interested in learning about them. So feel free to comment. But yeah, I don't really see the point. And I feel like on the whole, it's probably a better idea to invest all of this time, brain power, and resources and energy into some more pressing project where we actually know that there will be real benefits from tackling these issues. That's about it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.